Hey guys, this is Sam here with Only Facts. I'm wanting to do a late night stream before I type out a bunch of emails and get a bunch of things in order. As usual, nothing ever goes to plan, uh, and I'm always playing catch up, but that's no excuse. I'm excited. We are about 4 hours away from Washington, D.C. Plan to leave early in the morning, get to the hotel there, and then set off walking with my gear, cameras, batteries in tow to hopefully get as close to wherever everybody else is going to be around the White House. Ironically, I read something about there being a wall being built around the White House that is not scalable. I didn't know that was a problem, but more importantly, how ironic is it that the last thing President Trump possibly might do before getting not reelected is to build a wall around the White House. Kind of pathetic. Anyhow, let me make sure that the stream is up at least in a couple of places, just to be sure that it's working. Okay, I see. Okay, well, it's on Facebook, so that's good. Anyhow, I'm in the hotel room, and I'm collecting a list of emails, a list of prominent progressive leftist vloggers, everybody from Sam Cedar, The Majority Report, to The Damage Report, to The Young Turks, to The Rational National, to The Serfs, to the Great Vosh, to The Humanist Report, to Katie Halper. I mean, the list goes on. And my only point or want in doing that is to offer whoever comes across my stream, whoever that may be, full license to use any media they find interesting or usable, and to rebroadcast it. The very least I ask is just a shout out. That would be great, you know, uh, because after this election, I want to start a project where we can have a sort of united federation or a connected organization of media content creators and businesses that are left leaning and progressive. I feel like we fall for that quote that Will Rogers, a fellow Oklahoman, he was also a Democrat, when they would ask him what political party he supported, he said something to the effect of, "I don't have a party, I'm a Democrat." Uh, I think what he meant, if I'm not mistaken, is that the very nature of being a Democrat is to be unorganized, is to be not united at times. And, you know, I do think that's true in a sense. I am a big Bernie Sanders supporter, but as soon as he was not electorally viable in the primaries, I had to support the next best horse we had, or mule, or donkey, or, like I said, alpaca, or llama, or pony. Having said that, I think there needs to be a more concerted, focused inertia, momentum, a snowball effect, because I believe 2020 has seen the advent of live streaming, what I'm doing here, but it has also seen the advent of political live streaming, as you see here. Political commentary from qualified people, from unqualified people, from great people to horrible people, from really smart people to really dumb people, and everybody in between. But I think one can organize these efforts to harness this network, this loose network, but somehow tighten the threads, the networks, the connections between us, and be able to push meaningful messages as the political situation deems necessary. Now, I think that's easier said than done. A lot of people are ride or die types with their politics. A lot of people are unflinching in their support or a disavowal of anything that they disagree with. I disagree with a lot of things with Joe Biden says, but I agree with him more than I disagree than versus Trump. I'm reading the book Undaunted by John Brennan, former CIA director, and he mentions how he worked for the Bush administration, even wrote and was against a lot of what Bush did, but he would end up voting for Obama and working for President Obama. And somebody asked him, well, how could you know, make the difference for that hypocrisy? And he says, well, regarding John McCain actually, and he says, well, I disagree with about 50% of what John McCain has to say, but at the same time, I disagree with Obama about 20% or 30% of the time. So my math tells me I support Barack Obama. Same thing with Biden. The math, I don't even have to run the numbers. It's obvious. Now, I'm beating a dead horse right now. Most of you have either voted. If you haven't voted, not only shame on you, well, wait. If you don't plan to vote, not just shame on you, but just shame on you. Thirdly, you may understand the importance of it, and I thank you for using your mental faculties to accept that. So, anyhow, the next point I want to bring up is this: is already before the election, there are people talking about, oh, look, in Washington, D.C. and these cities and whatnot, that people are already uh, boarding up their shops and, in anticipation of riots and breaking and looting. And I just want people to understand one thing, and it is stop fucking worrying about property, okay? For a goddamn country that talks about being pro-life, the freedom of man, the right to happiness, pursuit of happiness and whatnot, I fucking hear about property all the damn time. Like the Kenosha shooter, the Matt Ryan Wood, a Kyle Rittenhouse. Like, what right, what moral compass, what moral adjudication or moral authority does he have to travel to another state to protect the property of so and so? Maybe not even knowing of that person. I mean, it's a twisted thing. Now, I don't condone or promote the destruction of private property or public property, but as Martin Luther King says, writing is the language of the unheard. Let's look at the reason why somebody would be compelled to physically exert all that energy into something so destructive. Human beings are not just evil by default. We're not evil by some sort of what's the term? The medical term, preborn, when something that you're born with, a medical condition that you're born with. You're not born with hate. You're not born with wanting to destroy private or public property. There is a psychological, emotional, sociological, political reason for that. Why don't we ever consider looking into that? Why don't we ever consider sending an army of psychologists and sociologists to study that and to stamp that out? Like, stamp what the reasons are. Just like with abortion. Stop complaining about how there are abortions, and why don't you like try to do some mental exercises and figure out why are abortions happening? Maybe there is a reason. Maybe there is a solution. Maybe we can be preventative. But then again, who am I talking to? We're a damn country where you could wear face masks to prevent coronavirus, and the science is there, and we have people still, like the president to this day, mocking face masks. So maybe this is the wrong group to be speaking to. But let it be known this, that if you participate in this chorus, this twisted, perverted chorus of looking down on people who are unheard, not listened to, and your basis for looking down on them is not because you disagree with their message or that you do not align with them sociopolitically, but because they destroyed property, then you are the problem. You're part of the problem. Because worrying about property over the rights of people, worrying about property over the happiness of people, worrying about the happiness of property over the happiness of people, worrying about the safety of property over the safety of people, condoning state terrorism, state violence over the sanctity and security of property. That's pretty fucking twisted. It makes it even more twisted that the fact that most private and public properties are financed to the tunes of high leverage amounts, all on debt. Debt that is always seemingly bailed out and backed by the government, printing off the Federal Reserve treasury bonds and notes like there is no tomorrow. So it boggles my mind that you have Joe Schmo and Sally Sue that make $10 an hour, $20 an hour. Okay, let's say you're a lawyer, engineer, you're making $40 an hour. Let's say you're a doctor, you make, I don't know, $100 an hour. You make 200,000 grand a year. I don't know. You still are defending and worried about a socioeconomic class that prints the money to cover their ass every time, but anytime you screw up, you get your shit taken and your life screwed over, jailed, foreclosed on, the social stigma associated with not paying your debts. But then when the banks get bailed out, they are called too big to fail. Like, I guess they're like the linebacker that's maybe overweight, but we can't kick him off the bus, even though the bus is unbalanced. I mean, so please, please, if anything happens anywhere in the United States where property is damaged, whether it is a piece of grass or some Confederate statue that comes falling down or some glass on a footlocker that was broken and a couple of Air Jordans got stolen. Air Jordans that were made for $5, $10 a pair and upsold to $180 a pair. Let this be a warning that I have no lower disgust, no lower arrogance to look down on people, just like you would look down on those people that loot and break property, than somebody who is a class betrayer and looks down on their fellow man that makes considerably the same amount of money, maybe less or maybe more, and to look down on them on behalf of a higher class and say, how dare you break so and so property that is backed by federally printed money that is printed like there ain't no tomorrow. Now you might say, Sam, well, what about the mom and pop shops? The mom and pop shops, a lot of them tend to not be touched, tend to be defended. But let's say they are. Lots of businesses, many businesses are required to have insurance. Insurance includes vandalism and whatnot. So what? Are we now defending insurance companies? They get to make money off of us for years and years and years and years. And because of social ills that go unchecked, because of those very same insurance companies that lobby for policies that only enrich them and hurt common folks, that now you're betraying your own class of people, your own strata of the socioeconomic sphere that we engage in, over who? Some like 80-year-old guy with three maids in bunny suits running around in his little villa in wherever, California, Calabasas. You're worried about him now? How about you worry about your fellow man, your fellow woman, your sister, your brother, your family, your neighbors? The fact that a lot of people are disenfranchised economically, electorally. Maybe that's something to consider. So before tomorrow, before you go and retweet, reshare, upload pictures of looting, upload and share pictures of broken glass and shards, and all the ominous, scary, dark boys and girls, because that's all the pictures that are going to surface, right? There are going to be white looters, there are going to be white protesters, there are going to be white thugs, but they're just having fun. It's just a Tuesday night in Washington or Cleveland or Miami. It's just the Brooks Brother gang. It's not the MS-13. It's the Ralph Lauren Club. It's the Lacoste Crocs, you know. But before you share those pictures of black kids and Latino kids and whatever color under the sun, because they broke something, because think about it. Think about it. Think about what what that broken thing is worth versus what they are protesting is worth. Now you'll say, well, they broke in and they're not protesting. Of course, with every political movement, with every program, there will always be the grifters. There will always be the percentage of people that are in it for themselves. But I'll tell you one thing where the people go to and join and they're all in it for themselves. And there's just a few that aren't. And that is the very politicians that the other group of people are protesting. So the irony is we like to think of our politicians as being people that are keeping everybody's collective interest in mind, even though that's a small percentage and is not the truth. So we afford politicians the privilege of generalizing the positive few over the negative many. But when it comes to our fellow men and our fellow countrymen and women, if there's 100 of us and 10 of us act out of line, or 20 or 30, we are willing to turn our backs on each other and label the rest of us bad, horrible, thugs, because a couple of kids decided to break into a Foot Locker. Foot Locker's not having problems. I promise you that. They won't face anything. Promise you that. Don't worry. There's a reason why there's a markup from $5 a shoe to $200. It doesn't make it right, but it also doesn't make it right to belittle, to besmirch, to castigate aspersions, and and muddy the perception of valid socioeconomic, political desires and demands that are not being met at a bare minimum. So save it, share it to yourself, print it, post it on your own wall at home, grab your friends, circle jerk to it. Fine. Just don't upload the video of y'all doing that, please. But to play into the hands of the system whereby you are an agent of this state. You are an agent of this system where you do the propagandizing. They don't need outlets of propaganda. They don't need a Fox News. They don't need minders on the streets whispering into ears people what to say. They don't need that. They don't need that when they have you willing to reshare, retweet, and feign sadness and awe and shock at why McDonald's was broken into and Burger King was broken into, because now all these little kids have the Burger King paper thrones on their heads, and they're acting silly and jumping on cars. Yeah, that's not cool, but you're going to spoil the bunch because of one or two rotten apples. I mean, like I said, the class of people that you are benefiting by doing this is literally a bunch that is all spoiled rotten apples with maybe a half an apple that's still good. Yet you afford them, like I said, that one half or one apple that is good will cover the rest. But for us, it takes one or two people, 10 people out of 10%, 20% to act stupid. Act as if everybody's a thug. Act as if everybody's bad. So, please, let's stop cucking ourselves out. Let's actually be fucking Americans. Let's actually be here for each other. That's a good idea. That's a good start. Let's be here for each other, whether it's Republican or Democrat, whether it's Christian or Jewish or Hindu or Muslim or atheist or agnostic, whether it's black or white, Chinese, Arab, Italian, African American. Let's just actually wonder why we are the way we are. We'll wonder what our needs are. Why are people acting the way they are? They're, I mean, as I detest Trump supporters, but I know where they're coming from. It's not an excuse that they would misguide certain cultural and economic anxieties by electing a fascist that doesn't give two shits about them and actually has done more to accelerate their socioeconomic demise. But I understand that they are human beings, just like me, just like everybody I love, and that we all have wants, needs, desires, and there's so much that we can do that when we can't achieve them, the manifestation of it isn't always good. But just as we should afford this to others, we should be afforded that as well. So, whether it's Trump people burning things down, whether it's Biden folks, or Black Lives Matter, or whoever, there's a reason for it. And never, never will I be of an ilk that clutches my pearls over a damn building or a damn piece of glass that's broken. Because in a country that's built on fake money, that's built on speculation of that money, speculation as a function of military might and forcing the institutionalized and standardization as a function of oil and trade and global banking, monetary rules and practices, yeah, I I give zero fucks. Seriously. Human lives over dollar bills, human lives over cement, human lives over steel, human lives over glass windows, human lives over pair of shoes that cost $5 to make, okay? It's as simple as that. Anyhow, I just want to end it on that note because I already see the the scare, the boogeyman being brought out. Just please don't fall for them. That's all I beg. That's all. Just grow up. Use what God gave you. Some semblance of intellectual faculties. Beg of yourself to exercise some intellectual rigor, some intellectual curiosity. Bring yourself, will yourself, have the volition to think things through. Martin Luther King says, nothing pains a man, and I paraphrase here, but nothing pains a man more than having to think. Put yourself in pain now so that you can enjoy pleasure later. If that's not a good cliche, then what is? I mean, think now so we can enjoy the the fruits of the forethought, the fore analysis of, well, why is so and so going on? How do we ameliorate it and stop it and fix it? And how can we make the future be a better place where this doesn't happen again? You know, for example, we're in hurricane season. Wouldn't it be nuts if after Katrina, New Orleans didn't do anything about their levees, Pontchartrain and all those places? Wouldn't it be weird if they just said, blame the levees. Look at the levees. It's because people are walking on them. It's because of the sun, because of the wind. I don't know, the water. The water's salty. The water, there's just too much water. Water everywhere. Hurricanes. Oh my god, the hurricanes are so strong. Why are they so strong? Hurricanes, they come from Africa because of the heat and the water. Why? Blame them. No. What they do in New Orleans is they build and they reinforce and they fix those levees and canals and channels and flood gates and whatnot. So let's do the same with our socioeconomic and sociopolitical ills. Let's figure out why the damn thing's leaking, why the damn thing's flooding, why it's flooding with fascism now. I mean, with the sweat and tears of hardworking Americans, but they're not getting anywhere. That'd be a good place to start. Abortions. You don't want abortions? I'm with you. I don't want abortions. Who wants abortions? Not me. I'm not a woman, but I don't like seeing dead things. I don't want to hear about dead. I don't want things to die, regardless of the point of life or conception. But that doesn't put me in any moral authority or moral position to tell women what to do with something I will never understand or go through. Another note is I have been blessed economically. I hope not to be ever in a position where, even if I was the father of a potential baby, that an abortion would be an option. Maybe it's a financial thing. Maybe, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not going to claim I know. But if we want to find a solution to something we don't know, that you don't know, aside from parroting talking points, maybe we should look at prevention. Now, I don't want to get into the folly of using these issues as I like to call cowboy corral tactics, where we're just a bunch of cows in a pen. This big pen is the United States, this corral. And, well, when they need votes, all the cowboys come out with different types of rope. I'm going to use this rope, religion rope. Capture this little block of voters. I'm going to use the abortion rope, lasso these guys in. I'm going to use the build the wall, fear the brown, the blacks, and the everything rope. Bring them on in. And then you bring them all into one pen and you feed them the same diet. Soon they're going to look the same, act the same, talk the same. And when it comes time to process the meat, it's going to cook the same. Sorry, I hate to use that analogy, but it's true. So all of a sudden, the person that actually cared about one little thing here now gets pushed in with everybody else, gets all lumped in, all the while serving as a mask, as a guise to slip in other things you want to get rid of, blended into the meat processor machine. EPA regulation, slip it on in. Slip it in right between abortion and build the wall. They won't see it. The imaginary wall is so high, and the feigned outrage, pearl clutching of the anti-abortion folks is so high that you can hide corporate loopholes and bad healthcare policies, and that's how it goes. Bait and switch, I guess. So, as a closing note before election day, go vote, be empathetic, but that does not mean to give up or cede position or ground on what you know to be right and is right. And third, the airwaves, social media is already full of propaganda. Please don't fall for being a mouthpiece for more propaganda. Stop the resharing, the retweeting. Let it be. Focus on what's important. You, your family, and why other people are unhappy, and what we can do to make everybody else happy, including ourselves. And I truly mean it. Not in a hopey dopey sort of way, but I mean it in the literal sense. That's all. I am tired. I'm out. Probably crank out some emails, and we'll go from there. See you guys tomorrow, November 3rd, 2020, Election Day. I think tomorrow will be a historic day. And I hope America and the unfortunate inflection point it took in 2016 will recorrect itself. Will be a temporary dip in the trend line of progress. I hope that the last 4 years is but a blip. I hope the last 4 years is but just an anomaly. That the trend line, the data set of progress that's happening in this country, slowly, I know, incrementally, at times, the ascent, fast and sharp at times, and then sometimes levels out. But as long as the trend line is in the positive direction, that's what matters. So, tomorrow, hopefully, the last 4 years will be an anomaly, and hopefully, in the big picture, in the big trend, in the big direction, in the big momentum of how this country is rolling and moving, that it's going to be like a snowball that just picked up a couple of rocks along the way, and just as we picked it up, we'll shed it to the dustbins of history, where history will be a harsh, tough judge on the tragedy and the abomination of the last 4 years. Thank you guys, and have a good night. Bye. All right, see y'all later. Bye.